What made these girlfriends turn into killers? And how did they react when the judge gave them their sentence? Some of their reactions were hard to believe. One smiled, one fainted, one asked for makeup before hearing if she would spend her life in prison. These were not TV shows. These were real women in real courtrooms. And their stories are shocking. Behind each of these cases was a person who died. And behind each killer was a family left in pieces. In some cases, the victim was the father of their children. In others, they were high school sweethearts. These were not strangers. These were people they once said they loved. So here's the big question. Were these women cold-blooded killers? Or were they hurt and angry, pushed too far? Imagine this. The courtroom is quiet. The judge says, life without parole. Some women cry, some scream, some say nothing at all. One even sang in her cell right after the murder. Now ask yourself, would you have known? Could you look at these women and see what they were hiding? In this video, we're counting down 11 girlfriends who killed. Some used guns, some used cars, and one used just her words. Their crimes are shocking, but their reactions in court are even more unforgettable. And don't skip the end. The last woman on this list may be the most disturbing of all. She never touched her boyfriend, but she still sent him to his death. And somehow, she got the lightest sentence of them all. Let's start with 3 women caught where obsession meets betrayal. These women couldn't let go of their pasts, and their jealousy turned deadly. Their stories show how love can twist into something dark and dangerous. First, there's Diana Lovejoy. She was fighting a messy custody battle with her ex-husband, but instead of settling things in court, Diana hired a hitman, her own gun instructor, to kill him. The plan failed when the shooter missed. Her ex survived and exposed her deadly plot. Then there's Taylor Schabusiness. High on meth, she went beyond losing control. After killing her boyfriend, she dismembered his body and kept his head in a bucket. Police found body parts in bags and buckets around her home. During her trial, she smiled, showing no regret for what she did. Finally, there's Jodi Arias, whose story is chilling. She stabbed her ex 27 times, shot him, and slit his throat. She claimed it was self-defense. But the evidence told a different story, including bloody handprints and photos left behind. Even while appealing her life sentence, Jodi sold drawings from jail. These women's crimes started with heartbreak, breakups, and bitter court battles. But they didn't just kill. They left behind scenes that shocked even the most experienced investigators. In all 3 cases, love was the motive, but power and rage were the weapons. So, if these were crimes of passion, what happens when murder turns into a game? Stay tuned to find out. Now let's look at 3 killers who acted like it was all a joke, or just made up stories. Their crimes shocked everyone because their words and actions didn't match the horror they caused. First is Sarah Boone. She filmed her boyfriend trapped inside a suitcase, begging her to let him out. Sarah said they were just playing a game, but the video showed the truth. He was dying. Her chilling video became the key evidence that proved it was no accident. Next, there's Nancy Brophy. She was a writer who actually published a book called How to Murder Your Husband. But the story didn't stay on paper. Nancy went on to shoot her real husband. She bought the gun online, deleted her emails, and acted like a grieving wife. The scary part? The murder weapon was just like the one in her book. Then we have Shayna Hubers. She wouldn't let go of her ex and shot him 6 times. After the murder, she even sang while waiting in jail. Shayna told police he was abusive, but her texts showed obsession, not fear. Her dark sense of humor didn't stop even after the crime. All these women turned their heartbreak and pain into plans and cruel jokes. One case was cracked open because of an author's own words. Another was exposed by a chilling voicemail. They thought they could outsmart the law or blame others. But when love stories turn into horror novels, the truth becomes the darkest fiction. Nancy Brophy's book sales actually went up after her arrest. So now, what happens when the killer wears a badge or hides behind her own family? Stay with us. These women didn't come from wild backgrounds or crime-filled lives. In fact, they looked like law-abiding citizens, even part of the law itself or high society. But beneath the surface, something dark was hiding. First, meet Stephanie Lazarus. She was an LAPD detective who hid behind her badge for 23 years. She murdered her ex's new wife and then spent decades working near the very cold case she created. For years, no one suspected her. It wasn't until new DNA testing came back that she was finally caught. Shockingly, Stephanie had even been promoted while her victim's case stayed cold. Then there's Melody Ferris, a woman who killed her husband, burned his body, and tried to blame her teenage son for the crime. In court, she cried and begged for sympathy, but it was all part of a plan to cover her tracks. Her motives? Affairs, money problems, and control. Trying to frame her own child made the betrayal even worse. Finally, we have Ashley Benefield, a ballerina and model with a dark secret. She shot her husband during a bitter custody fight. She said she was protecting herself from abuse, but police found no signs of injury or proof to back up her claim. Her calm, "You never expected the monster hiding in plain sight. When women with power break, it takes years, sometimes decades, for justice to catch up." Stephanie Lazarus climbed the ranks in the police force, while the case she caused sat forgotten. And now, we're down to the final two. One killed using a car, the other used nothing but her words. The last two women didn't use guns or knives. One used a car crash, the other used her words. Both caused death in ways many never imagined. First, there's Mackenzie Sharilla. At just 17, she sped her car at 100 miles per hour and crashed into a wall. Her boyfriend and his best friend died in that crash. At first, Mackenzie said nothing was wrong, but then video cameras showed it was no accident. It was planned. Then we have Michelle Carter. She never touched her boyfriend. Instead, she used her phone to push him to kill himself. He was struggling with suicide, and Michelle kept sending messages telling him to get back in the car and finish the job. The texts came out after his death, shocking everyone. Have you ever had a fight in a car or sent a harsh message you didn't mean? These stories show how dangerous words and actions can be, even if no weapon is involved. Michelle's case was strange. No physical attack, no witnesses. But the court saw the power of her digital pressure as deadly proof. The courtroom was quiet, watching the texts and videos unfold like a movie. It was clear, death doesn't always come from a weapon. Michelle's case changed how the law sees digital encouragement. It can be just as deadly as a gun or knife. So what do their reactions tell us about guilt, denial, and how far love can go before it breaks? Every one of these women faced a moment they would never forget. The moment the judge gave their sentence. It was the moment of truth. Some stood there with tears in their eyes, showing real regret. Others had no remorse at all. One even smiled, another winked. These were once girlfriend, lovers, or wives. But now they were lifers. Women sentenced to spend many years, sometimes their whole lives, behind bars. It's hard to believe how fast love turned into something so dark. This shows us a hard truth. Not every love story ends happily. Some end with handcuffs, prison walls, and shattered lives. The courtroom wasn't just a place for justice. It became the final stage where their twisted stories came to an end. Remember the girlfriends we talked about? Their cold, hard sentences changed their lives forever, and the lives of those around them. So here's the question to ask yourself. Would you have seen it coming? Could you have known when love was about to turn deadly? These aren't just stories. They are warnings where obsession kills. Stay curious and informed, because behind every love story, there's a truth that matters. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to catch more shocking cases. Which reaction surprised you most? Comment below.